The sky above Zat-9 was dark and full of smoke. A human rescue ship called Starlight Echo had crash-landed after being hit by an unknown energy wave. The ship's metal body was torn, engines were dead, and sparks flew from broken panels. Trees surrounded the ship. The jungle was thick, wet, and full of strange animal sounds. Commander Raynor stepped out first. He was tall, with sharp eyes and a steady voice. His job was to lead the crew and keep everyone alive. Around him, other humans were waking up from emergency pods. Some were hurt, some were scared, but they were alive. We survive. We repair. We go home, Raynor said calmly. He formed teams to find food, clean water, and check for danger. Zat-9 was not a friendly place. The air was breathable, but the planet was full of hidden threats. Raynor took 2 soldiers and began exploring beyond the crash site. They moved carefully, weapons ready. After 1 hour, they heard a soft cry coming from the trees. It was not a human sound. They followed the voice and found a strange figure lying near a large tree, half covered in leaves. It was a woman, at least her shape was like a woman's butt, clearly alien. Her skin was silver blue, and her hair was long and white like starlight. She had thin arms, and her body was weak and trembling. Raynor held up his hand to signal peace. "We won't hurt you," he said gently. The alien woman looked up, eyes wide with fear. She tried to speak. Her voice was cracked and dry. "My body is only currency I have," she whispered. "Please be gentle." Raynor froze. He understood her words, but not her meaning. Then he saw her wounds, burns on her back, bruises on her arms, and her clothes torn from survival, not by violence. He knelt beside her. "No, we don't trade like that. You're safe now," he said. He gave her water. She drank quickly, then coughed. Her eyes looked into his, full of pain and confusion. "Don't understand," she said. "You don't have to give anything," Raynor told her. "We help because you need help." He picked her up carefully. She was light, almost weightless. The soldiers looked confused but followed. Back at the crash site, the crew looked at the alien woman with curiosity and worry. No one had seen her kind before. "Who is she?" one asked. "Survivor, alone, injured." Raynor said, "She stays with us." The medic, a calm woman named Dr. Lena, took over. She cleaned the alien's wounds and gave her soft food. The alien watched everything. She didn't trust the humans yet. In her world, nothing was free. Help always had a price. She had learned that the hard way. Her name was Kai Lyra, the last of her kind. Her planet had been destroyed in a war. She had escaped in a small pod and landed on Zatanan. She had survived by hiding and eating strange plants, but now she was too weak to move. That night, Raynor sat near her and asked, "What happened to your people?" Kalira looked at the stars. "Gone. All gone. I was daughter of a speaker. We had peace. But the Dravik came. They burn, break everything. I ran." Raynor nodded. He had heard stories of the Dravika race known for violence and conquest. "You're safe here," he said again. Kalira looked at him. "Why?" "I give nothing." Raynor smiled slightly. "You don't need to. On Earth, we help those who need it." "Earth," she said softly. "Is it beautiful?" "Has oceans, forests, mountains." "It's full of life and hope," he replied. Kalira lowered her head. "I had hope. Once." Raynor stood. "You can have it again." Over the next few days, Kyalira watched the humans work. They built shelters, made fire, and shared food. They didn't fight over supplies. They helped each other. No one asked her to trade anything. Slowly, she started doing small tasks, bringing water, cleaning wounds, helping the medic. She still didn't understand these humans. They gave without asking. She was afraid to believe it. One night she walked to Raynor and said, "I still have only my body. It's the only thing I know to give." Raynor shook his head. "You've already given more than you know." "You've given trust?" Kalira's eyes filled with quiet tears. No one had said that to her before. That night, under the stars of Zitani, For the first time since her world was destroyed, Kalira felt something new. Not fear, not shame, hope. The sun rose slowly over the thick jungle of Zatnine. Birds with glowing wings flew between tall trees. Strange animal sounds echoed through the forest. It was a dangerous but beautiful world. Kalira sat beside a small fire, holding a warm cup of human tea. She had never tasted anything like it. It was sweet, soft and strange, but it made her feel safe. Commander Raynor walked past with a toolkit in hand, gave her a small nod, then moved toward a broken drone near the edge of the camp. He had been fixing damaged machines day and night. Kalira looked at him quietly. She didn't understand humans fully, but Raynor, he was different, had not asked her for anything. No payment, no promises, just kindness. It confused her. Dr. Lena, the human medic, sat next to Kalira and smiled. "How are you feeling today?" she asked. Kalira nodded, body. Better. Head. Still full of questions. "That's normal," Lena said softly. "You've been through a lot." Kalira looked around. The human camp was full of work. Some people were repairing broken tools. Others were cooking food. Everyone had a role. But even with their kindness, she could still feel it, the eyes watching her. Not everyone trusted her. Behind the camp, Private Joel, a young soldier, stood with two others, whispering. "She's hiding something," Joel said. "Aliens don't just show up alone. What if she's a spy?" "She's too weak to spy," said the second soldier. "Or she's pretending." "Raynor's too soft with her," Joel argued. Their voices were low, but Kalira could feel the fear in them even. If she couldn't hear the words. She had seen this before, back on her home planet. When people feared something different, they became cruel. Later that day, Raynor returned to the camp with a small group. They had found an old satellite dish on top of a rocky hill. It was part of an old human research base. If they could fix it, they might call for help. Kalira walked up to him and said, "I can help." "I know machines, you do?" Raynor asked, surprised. She nodded. "My people were builders. For war. Fixed comlinks, energy grids, and scanners. I know these wires." Raynor smiled. "All right, come with us." Joel frowned when he heard this. "Sir, is that smart?" "She wants to help," Raynor replied. "We'll give her a chance."
Oh no.
The Hiltha old dish was large, rusted, and covered in vines, but the main system was still there. Kalira knelt beside the open panel and began working. Her long fingers moved quickly over wires and glowing crystals. Raynor and the team watched. She was faster than they expected. In just 30 minutes, she brought part of the system online. A small screen blinked, static, then a faint signal. Raynor tapped his radio. This could work. Kalira stood slowly. "Signal is weak, but possible. You need amplifier." "We don't have one," said a tech officer. Kalira pointed to a map. "Old VR pod. Mine. Not far." "I had one there." Raynor looked at her. "Can you take us?" She nodded. "Yes, but forest is not safe." Raynor placed a hand on her shoulder. "We'll protect you." That night in camp, Kalira sat near the fire again. Joel walked past her and dropped his food tray with a loud crash. He didn't say sorry, just stared at her, still trying to act friendly. He asked coldly, "Or are you just playing us?" Kalira looked up slowly. Her eyes glowed faintly in the firelight. "I am not your enemy," she said softly. Joel stepped closer. "Prove it. Why should we trust you?" Before she could answer, Raynor stepped in. "That's enough, Joel," he said firmly. "We judge by actions, not fear." Joel gritted his teeth but walked away. Kalira looked down. "He hates me." "No," Raynor said. "He fears what he doesn't understand. That's different." Kalira turned her head. "On my world, fear always leads to hate." Raynor sat beside her. "It's not on mine. Not if we teach better." "Why is it?" The voice was low. "My people used to believe in that too, before the Dravik came. They turned hope into ash." Raynor looked into the fire. "The Dravik. I've heard of them. They destroy, enslave. They hurt your kind." Kalira nodded slowly. "They killed my mother, my father, my people. I ran. I landed here. I wanted to die quietly." Raynor shook his head. But you didn't. You lived. That means you still have purpose. She looked at him with soft, tired eyes. You speak like a warrior, but act like a healer. Raynor gave a small smile. We humans can be both. The next morning, Kalira led a small group. Into the jungle, Raynor, Joel, and 2 others followed. They moved quietly, weapons ready. The jungle was thick, and strange creatures moved through the trees. After an hour, they reached the crash site of Kalira's escape pod. It was buried in vines, covered in moss. She ran her fingers along the broken metal. This is where I cried for the last time, she said. She entered the pod and pulled out a small glowing device amplifier. She said, still good. Suddenly, they heard a growl. From the trees, a large beast with red eyes appeared. Its mouth was full of sharp teeth. Move. Raynor shouted. The beast charged. Joel raised his rifle, but it jammed. The creature lunged. Kalira jumped forward and smashed the amplifier into the beast's eye. It screamed and ran into the forest. Joel fell to the ground, breathing hard. Kalira reached down and pulled him up. You saved me, he said in shock. She didn't answer, just handed the amplifier to Raynor. Back at camp that night, Joel sat beside Kalira at the fire. I was wrong about you, he said. Kalira gave him a small nod. She still didn't fully trust his change of heart, but it was a start. Trust was fragile, but like all things, it could grow with time. The repaired satellite dish stood tall on the rocky hill, turning slowly as it searched the stars. Soft green light blinked on its side, signal active. Inside the human camp, excitement grew. We did it, said Dr. Lena with a big smile. The beacon is working. Commander Raynor looked at the data screen. Let's hope someone hears us. Lyra stood nearby, silent. She had helped fix the amplifier. She'd risked her life in the jungle. Now, her hands were folded tightly, and her eyes were fixed on the sky. Are you okay? Raynor asked her. She nodded slowly. Yes, but I feel something bad is coming. Raynor frowned. What do you mean? Kalira closed her eyes. VRE minds can sense certain energies like old memories in the stars. I feel something dark. It is near. Raynor didn't dismiss her. He had seen too much to doubt her instincts. A few hours later, the radar beeped. The signal caught something. Unidentified vessel approaching, said a tech officer. Fast. Big Raynor looked at the screen. Large ship was coming from deep space. It was not human. It's not Veari. The shape was sharp, dark, and full of power. Kalira's face turned pale. No, she whispered. It's them, the Dravik. Everyone went silent. The same Dravik that destroyed your people, Raynor asked. Kalira nodded. It's their ship, their energy. I remember it from my nightmares. Raynor stood tall. We have to prepare. Back in the camp, the humans worked fast. Weapons were checked. Defense systems were powered up. Drones were sent to scout the sky. Kalira stood in the center of it all, feeling helpless. She had already lost her world once. Now, these humans kind, strange, brave, were in danger because of her. Raynor walked up to her. They're coming for you, aren't they? He asked. Kalira looked away. Yes, I am the last of the royal Veari. They want to capture me as a symbol of their power. Then we'll protect you. Kalira shook her head. Why? I bring danger. Raynor answered, because you are not a thing to be taken. You're a person. Later that night, Kalira stood near the edge of the camp. Looking at the stars, Private Joel walked over, holding 2 cups of tea. He gave one to her. You were right, he said quietly. Fear makes people do stupid things. She took the cup and gave a soft smile. He added, but you're not scary, you're strong. Kalira looked at him. I was strong once. For the Dravik burned everything. Joel sat on a rock. You're still strong? You're still standing. For the first time, Kalira laughed a small, short sound. It surprised even her. The next morning, the Dravik ship arrived in orbit. It was huge black metal, sharp angles, glowing red engines. It blocked the sunlight over part of the forest. A message was sent down in a cold, robotic voice. Deliver. The Viari female? No war? No blood? Refuse and face destruction. Kalira stood behind Raynor as the humans listened to the message. They don't want Earth. Just me, she said. Raynor stared at the sky. That's still too high a price. Kalira stepped forward. Let me go. If I go, they leave. You live. No, Raynor said firmly. Dr. Lena added, You're one of us now. We don't sell our people. Kalira felt something strange. Inside belonging, I have a plan, she said. In the command tent, Kalira showed a diagram of a Dravik ship. She had studied them during the war. She knew their blind spots, their weaknesses. They rely too much on machines, she explained. Their sensors can be tricked. Their power cores are exposed at low orbit. We can build an energy spike to blind them. Raynor listened carefully. How long will it take? 6 hours, she replied. Maybe less with help. Then, let's do it. Time passed. Kalira worked side by side with human engineers. She guided their hands, corrected wires, and used old Viari tech to boost human tools. She no longer felt like an outsider. She was part of something again, Raynor. Watched her from a distance and smiled. She's becoming one of us, he said. Joel nodded. Yeah, she is. Just before launch, the humans finished building the Speakatal device that would release a massive energy burst, strong enough to blind the Dravak's targeting systems for a short time. Raynor stood near Kalira. When this works, we'll fire flares and spread out. They won't know who's who. Kalira nodded. Then what? Then we fight or flee. But we don't give up. She looked at him. Thank you for seeing me as more than what I offered. You gave us knowledge. You gave us trust. It's more than enough. The Dravik ship moved closer. The sky darkened again. Missiles armed, lasers charged. Raynor gave the command. Activate the spike. A bright blast of energy shot up into the sky, shaking the trees. The Dravik ship blinked in confusion. Its lights flickered. Now, dot, Raynor shouted. The humans fired flares in all directions. Drones flew. Smoke bombs exploded. The jungle was full of noise, color, and chaos. Inside the smoke, Kalira ran with Raynor. This was your idea, he said, smiling. Kalira breathed hard. I never thought I'd be the one saving others, Raynor said. That's what humans do. And now, that's what you do too. The jungle was full of smoke and flashing lights. Flares burned in the sky. Human drones flew fast, spreading confusion. The Dravik ship, high above, struggled to track anything clearly. Its targeting systems were blinded by Kalira's energy. Spike dot inside the camp, Commander Raynor moved quickly with his team. He gave orders, checked weapons, and watched the radar. They're scanning everything, said one soldier. But the spike is holding them back. Raynor nodded. Good. Keep it up. Kalira stood near him. Her heart beat fast. She had never felt this kind of power, not the power to destroy, but the power to protect. Joel ran in with news. A message from the Dravik ship. They're sending a landing party. 10 soldiers. They're looking for her. Kalira's face turned, pale. Raynor looked at her. They want to take you alive. She nodded. Yes. They want to show the galaxy they control the last of my people. Then we make sure they don't, he said firmly. An hour later, the Dravik soldiers landed in the jungle. They were tall, wearing dark armor and moved like machines. Their faces were hidden by helmets. Each one carried a weapon that could burn through steel. The human soldiers hid in the trees, waiting for Raynor's signal. Kalira stood at the center of the camp, wearing a small tracking chip. She was the bait, but it was her choice. Looked calm, but inside, she was scared. I used to run from them, she whispered. Now I stand and face them. Raynor stood beside her. You don't stand alone. In the jungle, Joel and 3 other soldiers watched the Dravik patrol. Move closer. Joel raised his hand and gave the signal. The humans opened fire with electric rifles. 2 Dravik soldiers fell, sparks flying from their armor. The rest returned fire, hitting trees and rocks. Kalira heard the sounds of battle. She wanted to run, but her feet stayed firm. "They're almost here," said Lena. "We need to move you." Kalira shook her head. "No, I finished this." Suddenly, 3 Dravik soldiers entered the clearing. One pointed his weapon at her. "Target confirmed," he said in a cold, robotic voice. Before he could shoot, Raynor stepped in front of her. "Not today," he said, and fired his weapon. The shot hit the Dravik soldier's chest, pushing him back. Another soldier fired at Raynor, but Kalira grabbed a metal rod and struck his arm. The blast missed Dr. Lena through a stun grenade, and the last soldier fell. After the fight smoke covered the ground, Raynor helped Kalira to her feet. "Are you all right?" She nodded. "Yes, but this was only the start." A new message came from the Dravik ship. This time it wasn't a threat, it was a deal. "You have fought well, but you cannot win. Give us the Veari female, and we will leave your people unharmed." "The camp went silent," Joel said. "They're scared. They didn't expect us to fight like this." Raynor looked at Kalira. She stood still, thinking, then she said, "Maybe I should go." "No," Raynor replied quickly. "We don't trade lives." Kalira looked at him. "What if my life saves everyone here?" He stepped closer. "You already saved us, with your mind, with your courage. That's worth more than your surrender," she whispered, "but they won't stop." Raynor paused, then said, "Then we make them." Later that night, the humans and Kalira met in the command tent. They needed a new plan. The Dravik still had weapons that could destroy the camp from orbit. "We need to hit their ship," said Joel. "But how?" asked Lena. "We don't even have a way to reach it." Kalira stepped forward. "Maybe we do. My pod still has a launch drive. If we connect it to one of your drones, we can send it up." Raynor looked at her with interest. "What would we send?" "A virus," she said. "Not to harm, but to shut down their weapons. It's just for a few minutes. Enough time to scare them." Raynor smiled. That could work. They began building. As the drone was prepared, Kalira sat alone for a moment. She thought of her home, her family, and the day her world burned. She had always believed her life had no more value. She had no riches, no power, only her body, which she once offered for safety. But now, she had something more. She had knowledge, purpose, and friends. Raynor came and sat beside her. "You're not who you were when we found you," he said. Kalira smiled slightly. "I didn't know who I was. You showed me." He handed her a data chip. "This will carry your virus. You ready?" She nodded. "Let's end this." The final move, the drone rose into the sky with the virus chip. The team watched from below. Kalira closed her eyes and whispered something in her own language, a small prayer. The drone reached orbit. Then silence. Did it work? The screen blinked. "The Dravik ship's weapons went offline. They're blind," said the tech officer. A new message came through. "We will leave. The cost is too high. Keep the Veari. She has already defeated us." Everyone in the room stared at the screen, and cheers broke out. Kalira smiled. Not because they won, but because no one had to die. That night trainer sat beside the fire. Kalira joined him. "You saved us," he said. Kalira looked into the flames. "You saved me first." He looked at her. "You didn't trade your body. You gave your mind, your soul, your courage." She nodded. "Thought I had nothing, but I was wrong." The fire burned warm, and the stars above were quiet again. For the first time in a long time, Kalira felt at peace. The morning after the Dravik ship left, the camp was filled with a quiet sense of relief. The air felt lighter, and the soldiers who had been on edge for days now walked with their heads held higher. The war had not yet been won, but this small victory brought hope. Raynor stood on the hill, watching the last traces of the Dravik ship disappear into the horizon. It had taken everything the humans had: technology, teamwork, and the bravery of a woman who had been fighting alone for far too long. Kalira walked up beside him, her face calm but her eyes tired. "Do you think they'll return?" asked. Raynor shook his head. "They might. But they know we're not easy prey." She looked out at the jungle, the place she had come to know as both home and prison. If they come again, we'll be ready. Raynor nodded. We'll fight, but we'll do it together. Later that Datha, camp was busy. Soldiers sharpened weapons, and the engineers worked on strengthening the defenses. Raynor met with his team to discuss their next steps. They had to be ready for the worst-case scenario. But Kalyra wasn't just a survivor anymore. She was a vital part of their strategy. She's teaching us things we didn't know we needed, officers said. Her knowledge of their technology is invaluable. Raynor smiled, but it wasn't a smile of pride. It was a smile of understanding. The trust that Kalyra had shown, the way she had helped them all, had built something stronger than any weapon could. That night, the stars shone brightly in the sky above the camp. Kalyra sat alone by the fire, her thoughts far away. Had spent so much time running, hiding, and fearing the future. Now, for the first time in a long time, she felt a strange sense of belonging. Raynor came over and sat beside her. "You've been quiet," he said. She didn't answer right away. Her gaze was fixed on the flames. "I was thinking about home. About what it used to be like." Raynor followed her gaze. "I can only imagine. I thought I would never see peace again," Kalyra continued. "But now, I see it here, with all of you." Raynor smiled softly. "You're not alone anymore." She nodded, but said nothing. Wasn't sure what to say. The world she had known was gone, and the world she was starting to understand was just as new to her. But one thing was certain. The humans had shown her something she had thought was lost. The following days, the camp became more organized. Raynor and his team had worked out a new plan to contact other human ships. They would keep their signals small, just enough to be noticed, but not enough to draw the Dravik back. They had to be careful. Kalyra helped with the communications system. She worked with the engineers, teaching them how to camouflage their signals from the Dravak scanning devices. Her knowledge of alien technology had made their task easier, and her quiet strength was something the humans began to rely on. "Your people were brilliant," Raynor said one evening as they worked together. "I'm surprised we didn't learn more from them." Kalyra smiled faintly. "We were once proud. But the Dravik took everything from us. They turned our cities to dust. And now you've found a new purpose," Raynor said, his voice gentle. "I have," Kalyra replied, her eyes meeting his. "I've found a new family." 3 days later, the crew had just finished setting up the final pieces of their communication network. Raynor walked to the top of the hill to check the signal strength. Kalyra stood beside him. "Will they hear us?" she asked, her voice filled with a mix of hope and fear. "They'll hear us," Raynor said confidently. "We'll just have to wait and see who answers." The waiting game hours passed. The crew kept busy, preparing for anything. But the waiting was the hardest part. It was almost like waiting for the other shoe to drop, unsure if help would arrive or if the Dravik would return with greater force. Kalyra sat with the soldiers around the fire, her mind constantly racing. She had learned to be cautious too, hide her emotions. But in this camp, she felt safe enough to let her guard down, at least a little. Joel sat down next to her, his face serious. "You're thinking about the past," he said. "About the Dravik." Kalyra nodded slowly. "I can't help it. They took everything from me. My family, my world. I thought I could never escape." Joel placed a hand on her shoulder. "You've escaped them. You're not alone anymore." Kalyra looked up at the sky, at the stars. "I never thought I could be part of something again, but now I think I might be." Joel smiled. "We're a team, all of us." A new signal that night, as the camp settled down for sleep, the signal beacon blinked to life. The message was short but clear. "This is the Rising Dawn, a Federation rescue ship. We've received your distress signal. We are on our way." Raynor's eyes widened in disbelief. "They found us." Kalyra looked at the screen, her heart racing. She had always believed that help would never come, that she was just one small survivor in a galaxy that didn't care. But now she realized humanity cared. They had never given up on her. The next step, the crew gathered around the comms unit. Raynor spoke to the crew of the Rising Dawn. We'll be ready. We'll be here when you arrive. As Raynor finished speaking, Kylira turned to him. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning. Raynor smiled. You're right. We've fought hard for this moment. And now, we fight for the future. The stars above felt brighter that night. Kylira had been alone for so long, but now she was part of something greater. A team. A family. And for the first time in a long time, she believed that peace might still be possible. The Dravik would not win. Humanity would not let them. The rising dawn arrived just before dawn, its massive shadow stretching across the jungle as it descended from the sky. The crew watched in awe as the Federation ship, sleek and powerful, touched down on the soft earth with a soft thud. Raynor stood tall, his face hard with focus. Kylira stood beside him, her eyes wide with wonder. She had never imagined a moment like this. Her whole life had been one of survival, and now she was about to leave Zat-9 behind. The crew of the Rising Dawn disembarked, well-trained soldiers, doctors, and engineers. They moved quickly, their eyes scanning the area for any threats. But when they saw Kylira, they paused. The Dravik had marked her. They had hunted her, but the humans, these strangers, had saved her. A woman in a Federation uniform stepped. Forward, she was tall, with dark hair and sharp, kind eyes. Commander Raynor, she said, extending a hand. I'm Captain Jenna Roth. We've received your distress call. Raynor shook her hand. You're our lifeline. Thought we were alone. Captain Roth nodded. We've been monitoring the area for a while. It's good to know humanities. Reach is still strong. She glanced at Kylira, who was watching quietly. And this must be Kylira. Kylira looked at her, uncertain. Yes, I am Kylira. The captain smiled gently. You're safe now. Back at the Federation? Ship the human crew was busy packing up their camp, but for Kylira, the ship felt like a dream. It was so different from the war-torn places she had known. The walls were clean, the lights bright and steady. There were no sounds of battles, no fear in the air. Raynor walked beside her, offering a reassuring smile. We'll get you settled on the ship, then we'll head back to Earth. Kylira stopped and looked at him. Earth, it's a place of hope, Raynor said. It's where humanity came from, where we built everything. It's where we're going. I never thought I'd have a chance to see it, Kylira said quietly, her voice filled with emotion. I thought I'd lost everything. Raynor paused, looking her in the eyes. Left a lot, but not everything. And you're not alone anymore. You have a new family now. Kylira smiled, a small but genuine smile. It was the first time she had felt something like peace in years. The journey to Earth, the Rising Dawn, lifted off smoothly, its engines roaring to life as they broke through Zatanan's atmosphere. The crew watched as the jungle below them grew, smaller, then disappeared completely. Raynor stood by the observation window, looking out at the stars. Beside him, Kylira watched the vast expanse of space. For a moment she felt small, like a single speck in the universe. But then she realized, was no longer alone. She was part of something bigger. It's beautiful, Kylira said softly, but lonely. Raynor looked at her. You're not alone. You have all of us. Soon you'll see Earth. It's a place full of life, full of people who believe in hope. I've never met people who believe in hope, she replied. The Dravik destroyed that in my people. Not anymore, Raynor said firmly. You're not alone. Humanity doesn't give up. We fight for each other. Kylira turned to him. I want to believe that. I want to see it. You will, Raynor said. We'll see it with your own eyes. Arrival on Earth, it took several weeks for the journey to Earth. But when they finally arrived, Kylira's eyes widened at the sight of the blue and green planet. She had seen Earth's image in old books, but seeing it in person was something else entirely. Raynor led her down the steps of the ship and onto the soil of Earth. The air was fresh and clean. The smell of grass and trees filled her lungs. Were no battle scars here in life, peaceful and full of promise? She looked at Raynor, her heart full. This is Earth? Raynor smiled. Welcome home. A new beginning, Kalira was given a home in a peaceful city by the coast, far from the memories of war. She lived with a family who took her in as one of their own. They showed her the beauty of Earth's natural worlds, the oceans, the mountains, the forests. She learned about Earth's history, about its struggles, and about its triumphs. It wasn't easy for her at first. She struggled to trust fully, and her memories of the Dravik were never far away. But with each passing day, she found herself healing. The humans treated her with kindness and respect. She felt like she was finally starting to belong. One day, she sat in the park with a group of children, teaching them about the stars and the planets. They listened intently, their eyes wide with wonder. She realized then that she had something to give. She had knowledge not just about her people, but about survival, about strength, and about hope, and that was enough. A message to the stars one evening, Rainer sat with her on a bench overlooking the ocean. You've come a long way, Kalira. You've found a place to heal, but you've also found a place to help others. Kalira smiled. I never thought I could help anyone again, but now I know. We all have something to offer. Rainer nodded. We do. And humanity has always been stronger together. As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Kalira looked up at the stars. For the first time in years, she wasn't afraid of them. She had found her place in the universe, and the stars were no longer just distant. Cold lights, they were home.